While anime is generally a medium for the youth to enjoy and one that tickles their idealism, it also has no shortage of badass old men, older characters, grizzled veterans and the like who have their fair share of awesome fights and entrances. So for today, we're going to be taking a look at my favourite moments where older characters showed that they still have it, with an epic entrance and flex to boot. We'll open up with a bang, thanks to the timeless classic Hunter x Hunter.
降り注ぐ無数の竜よりも危険なのはあの人間。
You know what's coming, Dragon Dive. In an arc full of memorable moments, how could we ever forget the awesome entrance Netero and Zeno pulled? Netero is one of my favourite mentor characters, and he's got no shortage of cool moments. The way Dragon Dive was presented in anime form, the team truly nailed it. For the chairman of the Hunters Association, anything less would be a crime. The sheer awesomeness of the Dragon Dive only serves as a preview for other memorable fights later in the arc. After all, he did steal the show with one of the most epic battles this arc gave us, matched only by the Gone Ones. This is a goosebump-inducing moment befitting of one of the best arcs shonen anime has ever seen. Next, we move on with Jirocho returning in glory.
こっちさ。遅かったじゃないか。時間稼ぎ楽じゃないんだよ。
When talking about Jirocho, our fondest memory of him is probably the moment in episode 211. Remember when he gave Gintoki a lesson in pain? An awesome fight filled with emotion which saw Gintoki actually go out and still lose. Almost 150 episodes later, he makes his grand return, and it's a scene that's nearly as memorable as that Gintoki fight. It's a scene that got fans going wild. Seeing Jirocho arrive with his gang to even the odds was something that some people expected, but all that knowledge doesn't make this moment any less awesome. After such a heated fight that they had before, it felt awesome to see Gintoki and Jirocho team up. The succeeding flashback also gives us some much wanted backstory for Jirocho, shedding more light about his past with Otose. In terms of actual fighting, I still have the fight against Gintoki as my best Jirocho moment, but this one's not too shabby in comparison. Anyone up for some badass butler action? Well, Walter's got you covered. Battle butlers are quite the fun trope in anime, don't you think so? We've got the Sebastians from both Black Butler and Overlord, but how about Walter from Hellsing Ultimate? With the way I talked about Hellsing in the previous videos, I wouldn't blame you for thinking it's the Alucard show. What if I tell you Walter's just as crazy OP and badass as our protagonist, but in his own way? Here, Walter gives our guests a very warm welcome, complete with razor wires, a very intimidating wall that's full of presence, and a methodical approach to chaos. Fight and struggle as they might, these enemies stand no chance, and it's old Walter we're talking about here. Imagine Prime Walter coming in and laying waste to these fools. Sure, it's not as awe-inspiring as Alucard's feats and transformations, but when you consider the context and see what Walter at his current state is capable of, it's still a pretty damn good entrance and fight, isn't it? Fight is a stretch actually, more like a slaughter if you ask me. Jiraiya is here with a less talked about appearance.
女の誘いに乗り降りゃわしぐらいになれば己の色かで女ははしゃぶ
Jiraiya is known for a lot of cool moments in the entire run of Naruto. However, one moment that I feel doesn't get enough focus is the time he saved Naruto and Sasuke from Itachi and Kisame. You know, the time way back when Itachi was still meant to be evil. It's a pleasant surprise to have Jiraiya appear just when our two protagonists are on the brink, and his appearance gives a much needed dose of lightheartedness and relief in this moment of tension. And then Sasuke just had to try and steal the spotlight before getting punished for it. With that little commercial out of the way though, we get Jiraiya easily turning the tides, forcing the villains to escape, all without those hack's eyes, demon beasts and the like. People are still debating now whether Jiraiya can take both of them or not, but I think it's much less of a concern than just actually appreciating the moment, remembering Jiraiya for a pretty cool entrance and save that doesn't get talked about enough. Also, a subtle shot of power, as Itachi and Kisame both don't want a piece of him when they're not at full strength. But hey, if you feel bad for not being able to watch the shows here legally, help is on the way. ExpressVPN's here to solve all those woes. ExpressVPN's the service that helps open up the internet for you. With the advent of anime streaming services, one thing remains constant: the issues of region locking. Thankfully though, with ExpressVPN, you can temporarily pretend that you're in a place like America or the UK and access the full library of anime that's available there on the more mainstream channels. All you have to do is pull up this list of servers, pick your server, and connect to it with the click of a button. Heck, this VPN is what I used when I was in China and wanted to keep up with seasonal anime. Speaking of China, ExpressVPN also allowed me to use various social media sites in spite of the restrictions, which allowed me to not miss a beat when it comes to getting in touch with friends or checking my status here on YouTube. And to help you get started, I've got a link down below that will give you a great deal. I'm talking 3 months free of ExpressVPN and less than $7 a month for an entire year. Just head on to expressvpn.com/ViniTube for more details. Online protection and the ability to break regional borders for less than $7. I mean, that's just a steal right there. Next up, we have Hideyoshi. There are many incarnations of Toyotomi Hideyoshi in anime, but are any of them as badass as the one from Sengoku Basara? Appearing on top of a hill, Hideyoshi bravely faces a literal horde of archers looking to give him a swift end. Of course though, it's not meant to be. We're all expecting him to pull something cool to overcome the supposed stacked odds, but did anyone actually expect him to step forward, draw no weapon, and simply just wave his hands, creating a shockwave strong enough to not only repel the rain of arrows, but to just send everything back, all by himself? It's nothing short of impressive, and he caps it off by literally opening the heavens that shine a spotlight on him. That's some major last boss vibes right there, I'm telling you. Just the apt entrance for someone who's, in my book, the most impressive amongst the major characters in this show. I mean, imagine fighting and being such a big badass to dominate the battlefield without a single weapon. It doesn't get more hardcore than that now, does it? Yamamoto versus Yuha started off with an explosion, if you will.
1000年ぶりじゃな、ユンハバッハ。お主の息の根を止めに来た。
For so long, we've all faithfully waited for the day when Yamamoto finally unleashes his full strength and shows us why he's the strongest of the Gotei in the Captain Commander. Well, the time has finally come, and Yamamoto arrives in front of Yuha in a blazing inferno. It's an entrance that gave me and Bleach fans all over the world something to cheer for. Yamamoto's arrival, coming off utterly annihilating some Quincy slob, shines a ray of hope for the Shinigami, who've been dropping like flies beforehand. The atmosphere of this entry has been perfectly captured by the anime team, and it's followed by what many consider to be the best episode of the 1000-year Blood War's first core. A total showcase of power that gives credence to Yamamoto's title, one that I also featured in another video not so long ago. When even Aizen doesn't want to mess with you, you know you're something special, and Yamamoto proceeds to show us why in the following episode. King Bradley also has a pretty cool entrance and fight, if you ask me. We've all seen Madara showcase the power scaling of his own series universe with an impressive feat of soloing an entire army, but he's not the first to do it. Granted, King Bradley may also not be the first one either, but this is one of the first memories I have of a villain doing it. Imagine a guy going solo and just rushing everything down, leaving behind a trail of destruction. I mean, it's the stuff of nightmares if you're one of the poor soldiers caught in the crosshairs. All the time, King Bradley approaches his enemies with an uncanny, almost unnerving sense of calm, showing complete control over the situation when the result was never in doubt. And the most stunning part of this was once you settle down and look back at it, King Bradley wasn't in his prime. He's aged through the years and essentially approaching senior years at this point. This moment is memorable for a lot of things. It firmly established King Bradley as an immense threat who still mows down enemies like nothing even way past his prime. We're wrapping this list up with none other than a one-piece entry. Here's Rayleigh versus Kizaru. Back in the era of One Piece, when everything was just simpler, Rayleigh made an entrance that really left an impression. Just when Kizaru's got our heroes dead to rights, here comes this old man, kicking an attack away and taking over the battle. It's a moment that ages extremely well when you look back at it right now and think of the power scaling at the time. This is a guy who's really old, but at the same time, seeing him take on an admiral and actually keeping up with him was a thing that amazes you even more when you look back with hindsight. By all means, no one who's past his prime and that supposedly rusty should be able to keep up with freaking Kizaru, but this man did it. I personally hope the fight would have lasted longer, but it's not exactly a serious fight in this case, is it? So that's understandable, I guess. Still, some amazing feats from good old Rayleigh here. Who knows what Rayleigh in his prime can do?
君は行かせる剣など久しぶりだ
And that's gotta do it. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video and comment down what you think is the best entrance that I featured. And don't forget to check out ExpressVPN, the best VPN offering service and efficiency like no other. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Be sure to be there.